Today I'm sharing my final thoughts on the HP Reverb G2 after using it for about a month. This is the newest headset by HP. It distinguishes itself with an interesting collaboration. The headset was made together with Valve and Microsoft, and it has the highest resolution screen you will find among major VR headset brands. It's a fascinating headset for sure, as it adds a more affordable choice in the PC VR market. You can get one for $600 US, which includes 2 motion controllers. Keep in mind that HP is still working on shipping pre-orders at the time of making this video, so if you buy one now, you will most likely not receive one until 2021. But hey everyone, Cass here, and we received the headset for free from HP, so thanks to them. But as always, we never accept review direction, and we give you our honest opinions. But if you like VR and want to see more videos about it, subscribe if you haven't yet, as that's a big support. And now join me beyond reality. So let's start with setup and software first. The setup is painless. If you're a Windows user, you do need the latest updates to have the mixed reality portal installed. Then to use Steam VR, you do need the Windows Mixed Reality for Steam VR app. If you don't have it installed yet, a pop-up will show asking you to install it when you launch Steam VR with your Reverb G2 connected, so that makes it easier. Content can be played through the Windows Store, but there isn't a lot of content there, so most likely you will be using this headset with Steam VR. Thankfully, that is entirely possible. But to connect the headset, you need a USB-C 3.0 and DisplayPort 1.3 ports or better on your PC. For laptop users, you get 2 adapters included in the box, a DisplayPort to mini DisplayPort and also a USB-C to USB-A adapter. The USB-C input supports power delivery, so if your PC supports that, you don't need the power adapter. But if you don't, you need to plug in the headset in a wall plug too. The cable length is 6 meters, which is really long and very nice, as this gives more freedom to move. You also get this cable clip with the headset, and if you watch my previous video, you know I broke it very quickly, but HP sent me a new one, so I did wanted to warn you to take care when putting on this clip. Now let's talk about design and comfort. I think the headset looks great. It's an all black design with some gray touches here and there. It has a nice logo in the front that lights up when it's on, 2 cameras in the front and 2 at the sides. The strap tightens using Velcro hook and loops on the sides and a top Velcro loop. The face cover is magnetic for ease of use, so it comes off and snaps on very easily. The nose flap here is excellent, as it lets almost no light in, even with my tiny nose. The back cushions can be removed or replaced if needed, like when you sweat a lot and want to clean it. You cannot remove the face foam from the facial interface though, so don't pull too much. But I think this is one of the headsets that doesn't look too big on the head, and I find it the most comfortable PC VR headset out of the box to date, because the headset feels light and the face foam feel good. The off-ear speakers by Valve help with comfort too, as they are off-ear speakers that sit a couple of millimeters away from your ear, so it doesn't get as hot as wearing on-ear headphones. Of course, the headset is still somewhat front heavy, and comfort is very personal, so some people might need to do some modding to make it more comfortable. So these off-ear speakers from Valve are the same ones as those on the Valve Index, and I've always said that those speakers have the best sound quality on a VR headset, so same here. With these speakers you won't need anything else. It's a fantastic design too, off-ear, yet it can direct sound in your ear without much sound leakage, and you can remove these speakers too, but there is no audio jack, so unless you are using Bluetooth, there is really no reason to do so. Below the headset are dual microphones, and well, they sound like this. Out of the box they can be very loud though and can cause cracking because of that, so to get better microphone quality, make sure to turn down the recorded volume in the settings. When you do that, it sounds pretty good, but judge for yourself. Now, my favorite part of the headset, the display. Whenever I put on this headset, I'm in awe of how crispy clear everything looks. The dual LCD screens have a resolution of 2160 times 2160 per eye, and they have a full RGB stripe arrangement. This mostly removes that blank space between pixels, the screen door effect, which is beautiful. And I don't see any weird display issues, only if I really start looking for it, I can see some chromatic aberration, so a little bit of green and red color fringes, but again, only if you start looking for it. I don't think most people will notice this. Plus, Microsoft just made an update that made this better as well. There is blurriness at the sides when you move your eyeballs only and not your head. Other headsets have this as well, but this is much more noticeable with a high resolution screen like this one. But I don't think a lot of people look without moving the head, so I don't think it's much of a problem. So I think this is one beautiful screen. Since there are two screens, there's also a very welcome manual IPD adjustment to set the lenses precisely to match your eye's distance. The range for this is 60 to 68 mm. In the WMR software, you can choose between a refresh rate of 90 and 60 Hz. The latter can be used for movie watching, so this is not very special as most headsets have these refresh rates. The lenses are new though, Fresnel lenses designed by Valve. So the lenses on the Valve Index had a pretty noticeable glare around the edges of the lenses, but these newer lenses look improved. There is still glare around the edges if I look at stuff with high contrast, but it's moved more towards the edges, so it bothers me less. The sweet spot seems decent too. It's easy for me to find that sharp center of the image, and while everything combined makes the visual quality during gaming so beautiful and more immersive to me. Like I was replaying Half-Life Alyx in this headset, and in like chapter 2, where you go into one of the alien infested zones, I saw an alive moist root or something, and I honestly never noticed it as much as with this headset. It just looked way grosser to me, and I actually felt some goosebumps, and I already finished the game, so this was fascinating to me. And that's with every game actually, and app as well. In this headset, textures just look so much more sharper that it attracts you to look at it more closely. Sadly, the view-to-view is smaller than most other headsets. With the stock face foam, the black borders are very present. While the screen gives me more immersion, this breaks the immersion a little again, especially if you come from other headsets. Then this part is for those who wear glasses. I always use these medium-sized ones to see if they fit, and well, good news, these will fit. Then I think this is also important. Even though the headset seems affordable, do keep in mind that this is a PC VR headset with a high resolution. So you're going to need a VR ready PC that is pretty beefy to handle the full resolution of the headset, the game, and then potentially your multiple monitors. HP recommends these minimum PC specifications at full resolution. There are also minimum specifications for running the headset at half resolution, although that would be a shame, and then I think you will be better off with a different headset. If you don't have a VR ready PC yet, then the price can really add up. Even my RTX 2080 Ti graphics card still had some trouble in some games like Half-Life Alyx, but I'm also running dual monitors, one of which is a widescreen monitor, so I think that won't help either. As for the controllers, unfortunately these are not my favorite controllers. I think they are big, bulky, and they need 2 AA batteries per controller. The battery life is okay, about 7 to 10 hours, which is a guess by the way, because I sometimes forgot to time my playtime. I'm sorry. Then they have these big rings that glow with lights, as you can see, that are used for the tracking. But they are so big that I bump them together a lot in games where I need to put the controllers close to each other, such as for reloading a handgun. Eventually, if you do have the patience for it, you do learn to compensate for it. But that brings us to tracking. The G2 comes with inside-out tracking and 6 degrees of freedom natural movement. So in my first impressions video, I got a lot of comments of you saying that it's my green screen studio that's causing tracking issues. So for this review, I tested everything in my living room as well as in my studio, and I tried several lighting situations too. I'm sad to say not much has changed. While the tracking is slightly better, the main issues persist. So headset tracking is good, no issues there, but the G2 tracking uses visible light where the cameras need to see the controller's lights to know where the controllers are positioned. And this comes with some disadvantages. The tracking will have trouble when something in your room is really bright. For example, sunlight from the window can cause tracking loss. This technology also needs contrasting colors, so it works best in a fully furnished room that have multiple colors instead of a room with just one color. So when the controllers are inside, the tracking is good enough though. Some controller occlusion here and there, and that is when you put the controllers in one line and the lights kind of merge into each other for the cameras. But the tracking has the most trouble when the controllers move out of the camera's viewing range, since that range is small. So there are several tracking areas where the controllers lose tracking. These areas are on top of the headset, below the headset, and then right in front of the headset. For example, tracking loss is most noticeable in shooters where you need to grab a gun from below the headset or aim while looking through a scope. And in games like Beat Saber, where movement is fast, it happens like 2 or 3 times per song. And I think this isn't much of an issue when you're a casual player or even a mid-range player, if you don't mind compensating for it, because it does recover fast enough. Like, I spent a lot of time in the 3D drawing app Tilt Brush, and when I wanted to draw something in detail, I would zoom in and put the controllers in front of me so that I can draw. Then they lose tracking as I'm in the front dead zone. But then to compensate, I would move the drawing further away from me so that I can continue drawing. Bow and arrow games are completely fine, by the way, because of the side cameras. Games like Half-Life Alyx are playable too. Any simulator games are completely fine as well. However, if you're a competitive player where every point counts, I think this is an issue. But even so, I do not think the tracking is terrible, since it happens occasionally and not all the time. But it would be nice if it were improved further. The inside-out tracking software is all maintained by Microsoft, and it used to be much worse actually, so it is possible that they can improve it even further over time. There is one benefit from having inside-out tracking on a PC VR headset, and that is if you have a VR laptop or a mini ITX case, then it's just much easier to carry this headset with you than a headset with external base stations like the Valve Index. So the HP Reverb G2 is definitely the king of clarity, but it's not the perfect headset as it does have compromises in some other areas. The biggest one is tracking, but it might not bother everyone as you can play most games and you lose tracking only occasionally. In my opinion, this headset is suited for certain game genres and those that are willing to compensate for the tracking loss and just want that visual fidelity. I don't recommend people who get competitive to get this headset, but whether this headset is for you depends on what factors you find the most important, and I can't say that for you without knowing you really. So for example, you ask me a lot whether I prefer the Valve Index with 144Hz or the G2. By the way, I'm going to make a big VR headset comparison video later this year again, where I go into detail about this, but summarized for now. Well, personally, I don't mind trading the field of view of the Index for the higher resolution of the G2. I find the G2 more immersive, like I get that wow factor again when playing games because of the clarity, so I find myself picking up the G2 for certain game genres as I don't mind the occasional tracking loss so much. But when I want to play Beat Saber, I do rather use different headsets with better tracking. Some people might find the wider field of view more important or more immersive, so then the Valve Index is the better choice. So what I recommend to do is checking what is more important to you and then checking out other VR headset reviews like the ones on our channel, and based on that you should be able to pick one that suits you best. Of course, I wish we had a headset that had all the best specs combined. This perfect headset just doesn't exist yet, but I'm hopeful we will eventually get one. By the way, I do know there is a way to use the Valve Index controllers and base stations with the G2. I mean, I did that for the Rift as well, but I think that warrants a whole video by its own. Now I'm curious, what aspects of a VR headset do you find most important? Like, is it visual quality or wider FOV? Let me know in the comments below. And well, I hope this video helped you out, and if you got some time left, you could support us by watching more. But please stay healthy, and a special thanks go to all our champions, especially these patrons down below. And one special shout out goes to the Lord Handyman. Thank you so much for becoming our right hand, and as always, we are on.